All depends on whether or not the internet's going to continue to work for a little while.
As long as it lets us record it.
Hey, it's live now. All right. Hello. Hello, everybody. This is the webinar that was supposed to start 2 minutes ago, but if you aren't aware, if you've never been in Mexico, the internet is not the most trustworthy thing, particularly at the time that you need it. So we've been struggling for a little while, but we're here, are we? Are we not, sir?
We are here and we're ready to rock and roll. I even put on my good fancy Dojo Max hat, so when I'm wearing this, you know it's serious stuff going down.
Yeah, no kidding. And I have a collar on, actually sleeves too.
Hey, look at you. Hey, I'm impressed.
All right.
So this is about as dressed up as we get, people. I hope you like it.
And if not, we will.
This will be the Christmas card picture to go out.
All right. Well, this shouldn't take long to get through all this. Probably what, 20 minutes, and then
if that. You know what we have is we've started this for people that don't know. We've got Dojo Max and we've got 7 different programs we work on there, and those are working fine. And we really have been working very hard and investing a huge amount of money in 2 of our main programs, Procalls and Dojo Matic. And we just got those things up to a level where I'm really excited about it, and excited to show you what we've done. I'm extremely proud of our team. And this is something that's pretty new in the martial arts community. It's something that's been talked about and tried before and never really worked well. But it's working well now. So what we're going to talk about is Procalls, and we're going to talk about the term call center, which I don't like that, because when I hear the term call center, what do you think of when you hear call center, Doug?
You're going to catch somebody in the Philippines or somewhere in India with a thick accent that when you ask them for help, you can't understand a word they say.
It gives you a headache trying to decipher the words as you're listening to it. And as hard as they work and fine with them, they're limited on their knowledge. They're probably answering for a bunch of different programs, and it's usually not a very positive experience. And it certainly wouldn't be an experience that I would want for my martial arts school.
No.
And as me and Doug I'm a former martial arts school owner, multi-school owner, been at it a long time. Doug's presently running an extremely successful martial arts school in a small town. And so we approach things with the mind of what would a martial arts owner do? And so whenever I hear a call center, I'm just like, I'm out. And so we're fortunate enough that I live here in Cozumel, Mexico. Doug's now down here quite a bit. And we found some wonderful people that speak English, some better than I do.
Most of them better than us.
They can all spell better than I do. And we started working on this, I don't know, 6 months or so ago. And man, have we got some impressive things going here. So let's change the name call center and use contact center, because there's so much more to it. Why don't you hit the first slide there, Doug? And these are the questions that most people that I would ask if I was a school owner. Does it work? And when I say does it work, is it someone that I would be proud to represent my school when they answer the phone? Because they are going to have a visual of what that person looks like when they're talking to them. And if it's a thick accent, it's going to be a real problem. And then how does it work? How do you do it? What hours do you answer it? How do you know what to say? How does the darn thing work? And of course, what everybody's going to want to know if you're running your martial arts school is how much. And so what I thought we would do is let's go through those. But before we get into the questions, let's start with the dang phone call to start with. So we want to hit the next one there. And I had our director of our Procalls go through, her name's Sarah, and she went through and did an audit. This was kind of an older audit, a few months back. But I said, what does it really take to do a phone call? And it's just, in my mind, it's cool. Well, hello, Touchstone Karate Academy, we've got lessons, blah, 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 and where you hang up and that's it. But then when you start thinking about it, you have the phone call, you've got to book the intro, you've got to reconfirm it, you got to follow up, you got to nurture them, you got to go back and missed call, follow up emails, text, calls, all that stuff, and then keep track of it.
I mean, you don't have to if you don't want to. You just
you don't have to. We're going to show you some numbers on why you might want to here in a second. But so she went in and said, just on an average, you're talking about 41 minutes of time per call. And I look down these and I think she's a little low on her estimate. I think by the time you're all said and done, it's going to be even more than that, especially if you're doing more than one follow-up call. If you're going to end up doing, and we all know, I remember back in the day, you get down to the school, you train or you teach, you do some book work, you run the school all night, maybe you work out yourself, get a few rounds in, then you sit down and there's that yellow legal pad with all the people you're supposed to call. And, that just got longer and longer and longer. And then you throw it to somebody, hey, call these people, see if they want to take credit. And that's not what professionals do. So let's start with this basis of an understanding, just like an iceberg, that there's more to this than we kind of see on top. All right, let's hit our first one, our first slide here. Does it work? Well, there's only one way to tell if it's going to work. Now, we're not going to go through all of our clients. We've got a bunch of them right now doing this. But I pulled some numbers. I don't want to pull numbers I don't want to cherry pick numbers. So what I said was, what have we done this month? Now, what I didn't check was, we went through the 23rd of this month, and I don't know how many working days that was. Take out some weekends and stuff. So it's probably a little less than 3 weeks. I would think a little less than.
Probably right at, because we still work on Saturdays.
Yeah, but we don't work on Sundays.
Automations work on Sundays.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Well, yeah, for some good point. See, that's why there's two of us there on this. So we're going to go through some of our. There's only one thing that matters, and only one way you should be making decisions, and that's based on data. In this day and age, online, it's about data. The data will give you all the damn answers. Don't let anybody BS you. They don't have the data. Don't do anything without data. So we're going to look at a couple of schools here, and I grabbed a good one and I grabbed some interesting ones. So of course we're going to pull out our hero right away. This is Doug's school, but he uses the system just like everybody else does. What Doug does better than most people is he's a better marketer. He's running the marketing systems that we use. So if you look in the middle there, you're going to see this is through April 23rd, that one arrow. And to the left, we booked 30 appointments for them. And you see on the side there, 4 were for martial arts classes and 21 were for summer camp. And it looks like you had 5 even in for after school.
Signed up 2 or 3 of those too.
Yeah, exactly. So our total inbound calls were 225. Our total prospect calls were 60. Now, why is there a difference? Well, those other 170 or whatever it is, they were calling up and say, did Jimmy leave his hat down at the school? Or what time is white belt class? Those are service calls. We pass them back to the school. We got a way that's done. And they go ahead and answer the service calls. We handle the prospect calls. So we got 60 calls. We put in 30 people so far through the 23rd of the month. Now, down on the lower right, you look at a number outbound. We have made 415 outbound calls to people who either didn't show up for their introductory lesson, didn't show up for their appointment, showed up and didn't enroll, were a birthday party, were some kind of event, were one of the zillions of people he had at his Easter egg hunt or his Halloween bash that he does. He's really good at getting leads in. So we had a lot of people to work with to make those calls. So we're burning them in. So you'll kind of see how this data works as we go through these. Let's hit the next one. This is active martial arts, 18 bookings. That was kind of interesting. 9 for martial arts, 9 for summer camp, right down the middle. We had 100 inbound calls. Now we had 22 prospect calls. So we booked whatever that is, 90% of them. Now you look down at outbound calls, 61. Why is that so low? Well, they just started with us a couple months ago, and he hasn't really built up the nurturing database like Doug has for us to pound on it. Even so, he's well on his way to us booking 30 appointments for him this month, completely hands off, and we're handing him bookings. Now let's go to another interesting one here. This is Touchstone Martial Arts. Now this is a small town, Wisconsin, part-time school, little part-time school. She's killing it with a part-time school. We got 8 bookings. We had 1 call. And if you look under prospect, it wasn't even a prospect call. So how in the hell do we get 8 bookings and nobody's called us? Because she's not marketing. She's a small part-time school. She's got about as many students as she wants. So she's really not pushing it. Well, look at the outbounds. We made 30 phone calls for her. She got a pretty good little database there. So even though no one called, we made 30 outbound calls and said, and I know for a fact, she doesn't do after school or summer camp. So if you look up there, 6 people showed up, and I know for a fact she signed up 5 of them. And I know for a fact her student value is $2,000 a year or $2,000 lifetime. So 5 students, $2,000, she's up 10 grand already, and her phone hasn't rang. Now, this is pretty cool. And we've had some other ones that have been, that's why I don't want to go back. I could have gone back a few months back. We had one that we booked, what the heck was it? 20 or 25 appointments. They hadn't got a phone call because they were just moving into a new location. So this is what I want to set this foundation for you of. This is the call contact center part of it. Okay, let's go to the next slide. All right, how does it work? It's magic. There's a saying that we have in technology these days that anything advanced far enough technologically will appear as magic to other people. I don't know if you've seen what's going on with A&I. What used to go on where you could carry your phone around and make calls. I remember back when it was a big deal to be able to make a call from a car, and it was magic. And so television was magic when it came out. So things are changing so rapidly, and the technology is moving so fast that it's giving us, as the martial arts community, different tools to be able to do different things. So let's take a look at our next slide. Procalls, our contact center, we're going to start in the upper left-hand corner about 11 o'clock. We answer the prospect call. Going to the right around the clock. We book the appointments. We reconfirm the appointment. We reschedule no-shows when they don't show up. We answer messages from social media. We follow up emails, SMS, or text. I don't even use that word. Follow up emails, texts, and calls. We return mixed calls. Now, here's where it gets interesting. We nurture and follow up with the leads. And in order to do that, we have been working with software developers for over it's been a year, more than a year, to develop a program called Dojo-matic. You want to hit the next one here? And what Dojo-matic is software that automatically organizes, nurtures, follows up leads better than you do, probably. I know it does it considerably better than I do. And let's start back on, I'll tell you what, let's start about 1 o'clock. This thing with leads, we're automatically sending them text, emails, we're making calls. And if people can go online and book their own appointments, we have people book appointments all the time. We haven't had any conversations with them after the initial. It reconfirms appointments, reduces your no-show rate. It automatically sends the waivers, the child permission slips, so that's taken care of. You get a notification. I could spend 2 hours just going through what this thing does, but I don't want to bore you. You get an auto notification of the results and status of the appointment. What that means is if you've got an intro coming in Wednesday at 6 o'clock, this thing's going to send you a note after the appointment and say what happened. They either enrolled, didn't enroll, or went home to think about it. When you click on whatever you click on the result, that's going to fire what we call a workflow. It's going to make this thing take action. Automatically follows up with no shows and reschedules. Now, when we've got them in our nurturing program, there's 120 plus touches that we do as we're moving through the deal. We are on these people, and you saw the results. We had the Wisconsin school got 8 students or 8 bookings this month with no incoming calls. And we're automatically going to send and renew a review request for members, so that gives you a chance to build your reviews on this. So once the call comes into Procalls, we do what we do there, but if it doesn't go right and it drops into this program, we put them together, and this is about as powerful as it gets, folks. This will take, just go through in your mind how much time you spend on the phone, how much time you spend on follow-up and nurturing. Anything to add, Doug?
Yeah, just the fact that, as you mentioned earlier, we're not just a phone call center. It's all the other ways that we have our customers reach out to us. So they send a Facebook message, we respond to that. They send something from Instagram, we respond to that. If they post something on your Facebook page, we respond to that. So there's so many other ways that we contact customers rather than just through a phone call. And then they all get dumped into Dojo-Matic so that the nurturing system develops them, assuming that they haven't signed up for the appointment, before we get them there.
Right. If you look under the bottom of the Dojo-Matic logo, it says making you money and saving you time. I remember when I was on the floor, I remember when I was the chief instructor, the bathroom cleaner, and everything else you do, a one-man show. And that's all I wanted, was somebody to make me more money and somebody to save me time. And the things that are available now are available then. And everything we do at Dojo-Matic evolves around that tagline. That's our purpose statement. Make you money, save you time. Hopefully a whole bunch of each. Just so you know, if we go back, we don't need to go back, but we booked 30 plus appointments for Doug, and Doug's down here in Mexico, been here most of the month. So his school is running just fine. He's getting appointments through the door. I don't know how many, do you know what your sign up rate is? You've signed up a bunch of them this month. Do you know what it is? Oop, you there?